Thank you everybody for joining us today for Learn About CREST Company Accreditation webinar. And just before we get started and I hand over to your presenter today, Samantha Alexander, the Principal Accreditor at CREST, just to say that you can ask any questions that you wish to. You have the opportunity to type them into the question pane, and you can do that either throughout the webinar or you can do it at the end of the webinar, and we'll get as many of those answered for you as we possibly can on this webinar today. There will be an opportunity obviously to email Samantha and Jonathan, the Associate Accreditor at CREST, after this webinar as well. So I will leave it there and hand over to Samantha. So over to you, Samantha.
Perfect, thank you, Debbie. Hi everybody. This webinar is to talk about CREST Company Accreditation, and we're going to walk you through the process of some of the elements. So just to start off with some of CREST primary activities. So as you can see on the right hand side of the page here, the core CREST activities are split into 4. So starting with the company membership, so this is the accreditation process and something we'll be walking through in today's presentation. Then moving over to professional qualifications. So these are the examinations that CREST runs internationally, and these fall into some core areas such as penetration testing, intrusion analyst, threat intelligence, and security architecture. Then feeding down into professional development. So CREST doesn't provide training itself, but we do have approved training providers. Again, all of this information can be found on our website, on the CREST website. And also within here, we have academia. So our academic partners, so universities around the world, we also work with fall into that category. And then finally, moving on to knowledge sharing. So CREST produces lots of research and guidance documents. Again, these can be found on the CREST website, but these range from maturity assessment models, procurement models, and lots of guidance around monitoring and measuring. So we're going to look at some of the benefits for the entire ecosystem for becoming a CREST member company and also working with CREST. So the 3 C's are the main parts of CREST. So we look at building capacity, capability, and consistency. And as you can see here, these are 3 of the key things that we promote ourselves as being able to help government and regulators with. We also help them with their cybersecurity schemes. So we look at and manage lots of schemes on behalf of regulators and governments on an international basis. And we'll talk through some of those later in the presentation. So the buying community, so lots of buyers out there, we help them have access to trusted service organisations, again, looking for those highly skilled, knowledgeable and competent individuals. Procurement support, so again, if they're looking for a particular service provider or a particular service, we then have a buyer's selection platform on the CREST website where they're able to input all their requirements, and it will identify the key CREST members that can provide that support. So our training partners, so we help them with syllabus creation and review, independent assessment. So within CREST, we will help review the content to ensure that it does meet the CREST criteria and the CREST quality standard. We offer them a meaningful differentiator and access to markets. So CREST, as we go into new markets on an international basis, we will always work with our training providers, our academic partners, and also our service providers in helping drive and improve the ecosystem in that country. So as you can see there with academia, it's very similar to our training partners, but with the addition of careers advice and guidance. So CREST has created some careers advice and some guidance documentation to help students at both university level and also at other higher educational levels develop and get into the industry. And lastly, service providers. So here there's lots of different benefits to you. It's independent, verifiable, third-party assessment of your security testing business. So as part of the accreditation process that we're going to detail, we look in detail at your policies, your processes, and your methodologies that you use to deliver your service. Enhanced customer confidence. And again, that's through that credibility, and that's through the independent, verifiable third-party assessment. So they know that when they buy from a CREST member company, they are getting something that has been audited and does meet the CREST level. Discounts from CREST partners in training and recruitment. So again, through our partnerships, through training providers, and also through recruitment and other services. CREST members can get discount for those. So the inside track on new opportunities and developments in technical information assurance. So again, through the connections where we work with governments and regulators, our members are often invited to workshops and webinars. Again, these are usually invitation-only events for CREST member companies, where we'll be talking through potential new initiatives and new schemes that are being developed on an international basis. Individuals, so when we talked about the examinations and certifications, these are some of the benefits for individuals to do that. So it allows the advancement of the individual, allows companies to understand what they're buying from their staff. So when you are going for a particular job, it may have particular requirements, and by having CREST certifications, you can demonstrate that capability. Professional development is essential in this fast-moving market, and I'd 100% recommend everyone looks at the CREST Advocate YouTube channel, where we actually have nearly 400 hours of free content now, and this ranges from all the webinars and workshops CREST has held in the past to day in life videos, where we've interviewed various different people from various different aspects of the industry, and they've given us an insight into how they gained access to the market, how they got into their current role, and also what a typical day looks like for them. Lastly, industry and peer recognition. So it's essential if the industry is going to mature. We have changed the position of cybersecurity in terms of criticality. And again, we must change the industry to meet this new challenge. So the CREST disciplines. So everything on screen here is what you can currently become accredited to as a company. So starting at the top right-hand corner, we have CREST penetration testing, and we also have our STAR intelligence-led penetration testing. So this is the red teaming, this is the simulated targeted attack. Then moving anti-clockwise, we then have SOC, so this is our Security Operations Center. We have VA, Vulnerability Assessment. We have CSIR for Incident Response, and we have STAR Threat Intelligence. Now, the individual requirements for these are all detailed within their own application form, which we'll go through later in the presentation. But some of these have individual certification requirements, and some of them don't. So, for example, the CREST penetration testing, there's currently no minimum staff requirements in relation to any certifications held. But for the intelligence-led penetration testing discipline, the minimum requirement is a CCT-INF, so a certified infrastructure tester, must be employed or contracted within the organisation, and the details must be supplied as part of your application process. For the SOC, VA and incident response, there is currently also no minimum requirements for certifications. For STAR Threat Intelligence, the current minimum requirement is a CCTIM, so a Certified Threat Intelligence Manager, must again be employed or contracted, and details provided as part of your application process. So schemes. So these are some of the schemes that CREST either feeds into, works with, or is part of that accreditation process. So starting at the right-hand side, we have the check scheme. Then moving anti-clockwise again, we have T-Best, we have C-Best, we have G-Best, and we have Assure. So the check scheme, as it says here, is an IT health check service, so similar to penetration testing. And again, CREST examinations feed into that. The next ones are the best schemes. So your C-Best, your T-Best, and your G-Best. And these are intelligence-led penetration testing schemes run for the telecommunications, the banking, financial services, and the government industries within the UK. For each one of these, CREST has a feed into for different aspects. So T-Best, we help with the initial development of this scheme. For C-Best, we actively run this scheme. So to become accredited, you must go through the CREST membership portal and the accreditation process. And for G-Best, again, we helped with the development of this, and you must be a CREST member company to become accredited for this. Finally, there is Assure, and this is the UK Civil Aviation Authority scheme, and this is slightly different to all the ones I previously mentioned. This is a cyber audit scheme, so it very much looks at a cyber audit capability, and again, CREST manages and runs this accreditation on their behalf, so you can gain access to this and all their requirements via the CREST membership portal. There are other schemes that CREST is working on and developing internationally, These are just some of the examples of the ones that are live and we have been working on for a while. But internationally, we are constantly promoting CREST accreditation and also the benefits to all the governments and regulators on implementing something similar. So the accreditation process is detailed here on the right-hand side. What we are going to do over the next couple of slides is step through this. But the first step is the NDA process. So if you're interested in joining CREST and you haven't yet signed an NDA, if you contact us, so anyone within the accreditation team, so myself or Jonathan, who's also on here, will be able to provide you with that NDA, which will then give you access to the membership portal. So we have an online platform, our online membership portal, where all applications are completed and submitted to us. And again, via this, so once you sign the NDA, you'll have access to all of the accreditation disciplines that you are eligible for, and you'll be able to see all of the requirements. So everything starts with a company application form. So when you're initially becoming a member, you complete this form, and it's split into some key areas. So we look for general company details, the human resource management, including vetting. This also looks at starters, leavers, and training and development processes. Use of contractors. So do you use any subcontractors to deliver any parts of your service? Your quality policies and procedures. So how you ensure quality remains within your business, and the same for information security. We then look at contract management. So this specifically looks at your client contract. And complaint handling. So how do you handle complaints once they're received, or should they be received by your business? So as this states, this application is only completed once. So should you be applying for multiple disciplines, once you have completed this, you'll be able to copy the data across to all your other applications. As a note, the details that are submitted as part of this company application form must be for who you require membership to be named in. So if you're applying as a group, you can only be entered onto the CREST website once. So the main overarching name must complete the company application form, and then you can add any subsidiaries as part of your further membership. So discipline application form. So each discipline, which are the ones we went through earlier, have their own separate application forms. So within these, we look for specific methodologies for delivering the service you're applying for. We also ask to look for any certifications held by your employees and contractors. And again, please detail as many as possible, because this may change your eligibility to apply for other relevant schemes. You'll also be listed on the website. So once approved, any certifications you list will also be listed as part of your entry. So if you miss anything off and need to re-add that, you just need to contact us. Just as a note here at the bottom, some schemes have separate application forms which will follow the same format, and others are that you just meet CREST discipline requirements to be approved. For any of the schemes, if you have any further questions, we're more than happy to answer that on an individual basis and let you know what the requirements are. References and code of conduct. So references are required for each of the CREST disciplines, and they must be specific for the activities you're applying for. So if you're applying for penetration testing, the references must state that you have provided penetration testing services, and the same goes for all other disciplines. Some schemes may have additional reference requirements, and again, as part of the application process, this will be detailed on the membership portal. We also have the CREST Code of Conduct, which contains basic principles of good practice and ethics, and they describe the standards of practice expected of all member companies. This must be signed and returned to CREST as part of your application process. And again, when we get to the annual renewal process, it's also signed, re-signed annually. So some of the CREST disciplines have additional steps. So once you've completed that application stage, there may be additional requirements for you to become a CREST member company. And these are for VA accreditation and SOC accreditation. So for the VA accreditation, we have a technical assessment, which is an assault course that will test your capability and use of tools. And we have a SOC, for the SOC accreditation, we have an on-site audit, which is a verification step to ensure that all methodologies, procedures and policies submitted are in use and embedded within the SOC environment. So the on-site audit is conducted by an appropriate auditor within CREST, and must be completed within 6 months of your application being approved. As a note here, some of the schemes may have interview stages, and they may also require you to register onto procurement frameworks. But again, when you apply for these schemes, we will let you know of any additional requirements for you to become a member. Once submitted, it will be sent to one of the accreditation team who will be able to conduct the review of your application. At this time, an application fee will become payable, and we'll go through the fees very shortly. And we always try and provide feedback within 6 weeks of your submission. So within 6 weeks, you should have received detailed feedback on where you met the CREST requirements and where you may not have met. I never see this as a pass-fail. So once we've provided feedback, you're given 90 days to resubmit your application to CREST. And as long as you submit within those 90 days, there's no additional charge for you to do so. If you do take longer than 90 days, we may need a whole new application submitted to CREST instead of just a resubmission. So the standard fees here. So again, we can offer these in various different currencies, and as part of your application process, you'll be required to inform us of your billing information and how we go about doing that. But for this presentation, we've kept to Great British Pounds. And here the application fee is £750 on submission. Should, once you've become a member, you wish to add any more disciplines, we do charge an application fee, but it's reduced to £500. Just as a note here, should you apply for multiple disciplines and they're submitted within 2 weeks of each other, you will only need to pay one application fee, and it will cover the review of as many disciplines as you've submitted within that 2-week period. So once approved, you will need to select a country, regional or global membership. And again, this doesn't change per discipline. So once you are approved, no matter how many disciplines you add, your annual membership fee will not change. And as I've just said, these are payable per year. So every year on your annual renewal, you'll need to repay this membership fee. So the countries we currently have for selection are Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK and USA. And as I said, CREST is currently developing elsewhere in the world. So as and when new countries become available, you'll be able to have the option to add those onto your membership. The cost of having country membership is £5,000 a year. Then we move on to regional, and we have Asia, Australasia, EMEA and the Americas. And the cost of this is £7,000 per year. And again, that's per region. So if you were to select Asia and Australasia, that would be 2 lots of the £7,000. As a note here for SOC accreditation, that's the only discipline that requires a regional. So for all others, you could only select a country should you wish to. We also cover global, which covers you for all regions, included as above. So Asia, Australasia, EMEA and the Americas are all included within that global membership. There is some additional fees for some of those additional steps we previously discussed. So the SOC accreditation, for the on-site audit, there's a £1,500 plus travel expenses fee that becomes payable once that on-site audit is booked and completed. And again, we can quote you for this in advance. So when you're going through the application process, please contact us and we'll be able to let you know a quote for this. The VA accreditation obviously has the technical assessment stage, and there's a £500 fee that becomes payable once you've booked on your technical assessment. Please note all fees are required to complete your membership. So before you will gain a membership certificate and access to the CREST logos and marketing, you will need to pay any outstanding invoices that are raised against your company. As I've said a couple of times now, there is an annual renewal. So once you've gained your membership, you'll be given a membership date. And then every year from this, 2 months prior, you'll be notified that your renewal is due. The renewal process is done via our online membership portal, and again looks at some key areas. So it's a simplified version of the full application form where we look for just some of the key things that you've previously provided and for updates to them. So these things are general company details, company insurance, quality policies and procedures, information security policies and procedures, complaint handling, your client contract management, and your certified individuals. Just some additional comments here. At any time during the membership request, you can upgrade or change your membership, whether this be adding in office locations, the addition of countries or regions to your membership, and any fees would be prorated to the dates of your original membership. So these changes won't affect your original membership date. We would just prorata any outstanding fee to take that into consideration. I'm open to any questions.
Thanks, Samantha. That's really informative. So if you do have any questions, now is your opportunity to type those into the question pane so that we can get those asked of Samantha. So I've got a couple of questions here for you from the participants. So the first one is SOC accreditation needs an on-site audit. Are there any other practical audits for any of the other accreditations?
Not currently. So the SOC accreditation is the only one currently where we do an on-site audit. Obviously, CREST is always looking at becoming keeping the gold standard within accreditation. So we are looking at other forms of validation we can use for other disciplines, but currently, as it stands, the only on-site audit is for SOC accreditation.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And another one around SOC. So what does the SOC audit contain and how long does it take?
So that's a very good question, and I'm going to tie it to something else that I probably should have mentioned. So obviously with the current travel restrictions, what we are looking at doing is developing the on-site audit into a remote audit. So it will consist of various different interviews. So we will interview various different parts of the SOC, so the staff and also management. And what we do is once you have access to the membership portal, we have identified 6 criteria within the SOC. So 6 different areas of the SOC that we look at must meet the criteria to be accredited with us. So it will basically look at ensuring and checking and validating the information you've provided in your application process. So all your policies, all your processes, all your methodologies, will be asking questions to your staff around how they comply to it, how much they're aware of it, and how they use it within their day-to-day role.
That's great, thank you. So moving on to the next question. So with regards to, this is around ISO 9001. So would having the ISO 9001 assist with elements of the company application?
So it does, in that where I detailed the quality policies and procedures. So if you have ISO 9001, we wouldn't ask to see those policy and procedures. We just need a copy of your certificate to say you have that. And the same goes for 27001. So if you have ISO 27001, we wouldn't ask to see your policies and procedures around information security. We would just need a certificate of that 27001.
That's great, thank you. So this one is quite a long one, so hopefully just ask me to go back over anything if you need me to. So could you please discuss the level of depth required for quality and InfoSec policies and procedures? And they're saying, for example, are you assessing these against any particular framework, ISO, IASME, for compliance issues? And what evidence is required for records of these systems working? And again, they've gone on to say, for example, register remediation plan is a template of these documents sufficient given the sensitive info?
Absolutely. So I think I've gathered that one. So we do look at our quality policies and procedures around the ISO standards, so 9001 and 27000. Within the application form, you should find more guidance. So there should be bullet points as part of that application as to what sort of things we're looking for within your policies. We don't ask for any verification of that. So as long as you can provide us with the policies and they contain the right sort of information that's contained in those bullet points, we wouldn't ask to see any further remediation or any other further verification documents. So as long as you can provide those policies and they do meet the criteria that's detailed in the application form, then absolutely that would meet that requirement.
That's great. Thank you very much for that one. So this person based in the US. So as a US based company, would the US membership be enough to work with clients in the UK?
So no, so you wouldn't be able to use the CREST logo on any work you were conducting in the UK. You would need to have UK as a minimum membership for that. You could go in MEA, which meant you could cover the whole of the Europe, Middle East and Africa. But no, so US membership, you would only be able to promote your services being able to deliver in the US. And the reason for that is depending on your membership is depending on what we look for in your client contract and other requirements. So, you could have a different contract or different legal requirements for working in the UK as you could do in the US. And we wouldn't necessarily have accredited you to that because we wouldn't have asked for it if that's not what membership you've requested.
Lovely, thank you for that one. So moving on to this one. So does having an IASME governance certification count in a similar way to the ISO 27001 certification?
So it currently doesn't, but as I say, the accreditation process goes through reviews on an annual basis. And as we start seeing, one of the questions is there any other certifications, memberships or accreditations you hold? So CREST monitors that on an annual basis to see what is happening in the marketplace, what new things are out there. So it could be that in the future we do deem that, but as it stands at the moment, no, that's not looked at in the same light.
Great, thanks for that one. So this one, bit of a question really that's ongoing out there at the moment. Will Brexit bring any significant changes to CREST accreditation or the way CREST operates?
So no, not really. We're an international business, so we are CREST International. So as much as lots of our staff are based here in the UK, we do have presences and advisory boards spread around the world. So we will be in the early new year looking at setting up a European advisory board made up of our members throughout Europe. But no, Brexit isn't going to change the accreditation process. There is nothing that will affect any of our members happening within CREST that is of any significance.
I'm sure that's a great thing that they want to hear at the moment. So thank you for that. So this person's asking, have you got any advice for startups that are going straight for accreditation?
Absolutely. So we actually have this quite a lot. And what we advise is sign the NDA with us, have access to our membership portal, all the application forms. All the application forms will give you a step-by-step guide as to the methodologies we're looking for. So certainly within the SOC accreditation, we know companies that have looking at developing a SOC. They come along, have access to all the requirements CREST is looking for, and then they build their SOC around our requirements. You could very much do the same for any of the other disciplines. You can have a look at all the requirements for CREST, all the application forms, and build a service around that. Obviously, for some of the verification steps, such as SOC, we do look to make sure it is embedded. So it would be very difficult for a brand new SOC to kind of within a month of launching become accredited. But definitely for some other services, we do look at accrediting startups. We do assist you as much as possible. So if on your first submission you don't meet the requirements, we will give you all the details of where you haven't met and what you need to do to develop that. So we will work with you as much as possible, but just take to note we're not a consultancy, so we won't offer you templates or too much guidance. We will try and steer you in the right direction. But yes, startups are definitely something that we would encourage having a look at the requirements and then looking at building and creating your service against the CREST requirements.
Great, thank you. And this one's on feedback. So how detailed is the feedback provided by CREST to allow improvements within 90 days?
I would say it's quite detailed. So we do give as much as possible, and we do also offer phone calls. So if you don't quite understand or need some more guidance, we will have a phone call with you to try and explain exactly what we're looking for. As I previously said, we won't provide you with templates or anything, but we will try and guide you and give you as much information as possible, either that be verbal over a telephone or via email or through your feedback form you'll receive from us, to help guide you into the direction we're looking for. And again, you don't need to just resubmit once in that 90 days. You can submit 2 or 3 times within that 90 days to become accredited.
Lovely, thank you. Now this question may be a little bit difficult for you to answer in the purpose of probably giving figures and numbers, but this person was asking how much business is generated by being on the CREST website as an accredited supplier. So it's more probably, you know, what sort of things that they can get involved with to get them that business.
Absolutely. So this comes from some of the benefits we were talking about at the beginning. So by being listed on the CREST website, you know, if any buyers come to CREST, we are in daily contact with governments and regulators and other buyers, working with them to develop assurance schemes or research guides. We always point them to the CREST website. So if anybody contacts us looking for a service provider in a particular discipline, we would never recommend a particular one. We would always send them to the CREST website to look at all of them. And again, that also follows on to some of the other benefits. So, you know, you could build good relationships with some of these regulators and governments through attending the workshops that are CREST member invites only. Also CRESTCon. So we have a CRESTCon event in various places around the world. We do lots of networking events where buyers can come and do networking with service providers. So it's not just on the CREST website where you'd find that benefit. It's also by getting involved and attending lots of the CREST events where you'd get that opportunity to network with lots of the buying community that CREST works with. And again, that's not just governments and regulators. It could be individual banks. It could be individual transport companies. It could be a particular part of government. It could be any type of buyer out there attends the CREST events.
That's great, thank you. So moving on to the next question, is there a minimum of pen tests a company needs to do before applying for penetration testing accreditation?
No. Again, like I say, we have accredited startups before. We don't also just offer accreditation for service suppliers. We also offer accreditation for internal pen test teams. So we have accredited in the past some pen test teams that don't offer it as a service, but provide it internally. So again, no, there's no minimum requirement for how many you do. As long as you can generally provide references, or if you can't provide references even, you just need to contact us and we can talk through some different scenarios for gaining accreditation.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Samantha. And we have no other questions. And I'm sure, obviously, Samantha will answer any of your questions if you would like to contact her after this webinar. And I'll just hand over to Samantha to say a last few words.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. My email address is on the screen here. But again, feel free to reach out to any of our CREST email addresses. They're usually all available on the CREST website somewhere. The CREST website is very useful for lots of information, free downloadable research guides and other information. So any questions, feel free to contact us, and thank you very much for attending.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that really informative presentation today, Samantha. That was really great, and looking at everybody and how attentive they were. And just to let you know, you've had a few thanks in the question panel as well for that today. So thank you everyone for attending, and have a good rest of the day. Take care.